So Justin, tell us a little bit about, your journey with Ascend. How is the approach with Ascend? Did you enjoy it? Was it, helpful to you?
Definitely. So I still remember back in seventh grade, I started my journey in Sen now with a couple of my friends. And of course, back then, and I admit even now, there are parts of my character that maybe weren't so suited to, academic success, whether that was with, maybe not being on time with some of my tasks or maybe being behind with some of my studies. And I think Ascend now, other than, tutoring, of course, helping us really train our hard skills, one key aspect was really training our character. I think that got shape, and I think that if I were to look back from my journey in Ascend now, all the way from back in seventh grade and up till now, I'd say one of the biggest changes, if not the biggest change, was definitely my change in character. I feel much more disciplined now, and in a way that I'm really able to really work my life to my own ways, in the sense that I can create my own schedule, but I make sure that I really adhere to that schedule, whether that means setting aside special times to study, or whether it means making sure that I get projects done by a certain time. I just feel like I'm much more in control of my life, and part of that character development came from Ascend now.
Wow, thanks for that. I think you really struck me, Justin, as such a extroverted, self-confident, self-aware young man. And it's nice to see how you've sort of grown to even strengthen those parts of yourself. And in terms of the teaching, how was the approach more focused on anything in particular, like exam technique? Was it more focused on subject matter? How would you describe the approach?
I really think that the approach was very based around really number one, really hands-on learning, and a lot around technique. So of course, I guess in school, right, you usually have slightly bigger classes, so the approach taken there is usually much more generalistic, wide scale approach, where it's kind of they're just teaching all the students, and then essentially everybody sort of gets that same level of education. But with the said now, even when like in my case where I was with a group of friends, we had our experience sort of tailored to each and every one of us, because after each session, we made sure that we were getting feedback really specific to, again, our strengths and weaknesses, and we tried to look into how we could be able to improve upon those strengths and weaknesses. Of course, how can we continue to excel in those strengths, and in those weaknesses, how can we learn to move forward? That way, it wasn't just focused on how do we get the best results on our tests, but how do we also take then those techniques that we use to get those results and apply them to our future endeavors.
Awesome. And what do you want to be when you graduate? Do you have any ideas on career paths?
So when I graduate, I don't a definitive 100% career path. I do actually want to somewhere later down the line, actually do want to be an entrepreneur, someone who is able to start. I mean, right now I'm actually going to college, one of the top, well, technically in some places, top entrepreneurship college.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something I want to focus on, because, talking to you, at least someone who's also started their own company, and also being surrounded by a similar network of people who are like-minded in that sense, I really do want to end up starting my own company. But perhaps along the way, I do have found interests in some other careers, such as consulting and investment banking.
And what would you say 3 words to describe Justin Lantoh?
I'd say 3 words to describe Justin Lantoh would be outgoing, creative, and let's go for expressive.
I would say witty, self-aware, charismatic, and probably dynamic. Because while you have this sort of goofy approach to This Is Justin, you also are very naturally intelligent. So, you also have that nerd in you, which you sometimes don't show, but that is a part of who you are as well. So I would say dynamic would be a good word I would describe for Justin. Okay, and 3 words to describe Ascend now.
Let's go. I'd say number 1 is careful. 2 would be thoughtful, and 3 is expansive. So I guess the third one is a bit vague, but I think what I mean by expansive, I'm not sure if it's the best word, is that it's really something that's spanning not just, again, like from the time that you're in Ascend now, but even after that, because technically, I'm no longer under the tutelage of Ascend now, but even now, right, I'm part of the network. I'm still here talking with all of you, and it's just something that's still going to stay with me. And it's also expansive in the sense that I'm connected to just a network of so many different people.
Awesome. Thank you, Justin.